Abercrombie-Winstanley, a former US ambassador who served in the United States Department of State under President Biden. Gina, is the ceasefire meaningful in any way?
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, every ceasefire is meaningful because the pounding that Lebanon has been taking, the destruction of civilian infrastructure in the south has been substantial. So a stop to strikes, to bombings in Lebanon will be warmly welcomed by everyone, including Hezbollah. Now, how long it holds is another issue, and what comes of it is yet another issue. We know that the president and the secretary of state have been trying to get the two leaders to speak to each other. We'll see whether that happens. The president, Aoun, has been advised from several of his political partners not to have that conversation. But of course, the president is also saying he's going to host them in Washington, and that would be a very difficult invitation to turn down.
But there's no mention of Hezbollah in President Trump's Truth Social posts. And as Frank Gardner said there, that if Hezbollah were to now attack Israel, that ceasefire would be paper thin and the conflict would just start again.
Well, that's very true. And a lot will depend on what the Israelis do during and after that ceasefire. So far, they're saying they have no intentions of withdrawing from southern Lebanon. As long as there are Israeli forces, Israelis in Lebanese territory, then you are going to have some sort of resistance to that. That was the raison d'etre for Hezbollah in the first place, and that will continue. Lebanese of all stripes want an end to the conflict, but with Israel holding on to Lebanese territory, there will be support for Hezbollah among some groups. But right now, everyone is focused on getting some relief, badly needed. The refugee crisis is enormous. The stress on the capital, on housing, on medical, food, etc., is enormous right now, and Lebanon does very much need the ceasefire.
What about the talks between the US and Iran? President Trump says, the war is very close to over. What's your reading of it?
Well, we've heard that before. We shall see, because we also heard the Secretary of Defense say that bombing would resume if the Iranians didn't take the deal. This one, the Iranians have consistently proved more resilient than both the Israelis and the Americans anticipated. I would be very surprised unless it was clear what enormous benefits the Iranians were getting to see the Iranians take what is currently on the table, allegedly on the table, from the United States, which is that 20-year moratorium.
Yeah. In terms of how these talks work, you've got these negotiators, in there, but it really just comes down to President Trump, and we don't really know what his strategy is.
Indeed. But we do know he's got increasing pressures to end this war. We do know.
I think we've.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, the line broke up there. Continue.
No, I say we know he's got enormous pressure to wrap this war up. He's now at his 4 to 6 weeks, so now he can no longer say it's a short conflict if indeed it does not end at with this ceasefire or an extension of the ceasefire. We know the markets are acting as if it's over and will respond very negatively if the hot war starts again. We know that Iran needs money to rebuild, and so there are reasons for both sides to make this work. But this is not going to be, you're not going to have a clear-cut, understandable agreement, even if the next round of negotiations. There's preparation. There are experts that need to weigh in to look at the details, nuclear experts, lawyers, etc. So hopefully a ceasefire will be extended and the talks can continue. President Trump will indeed increasingly pay a cost if it does not at least have the ceasefire hold and that the war does not wrap up soon.
Gina, thank you for that. Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, former US ambassador,